Hello students. Yesterday we have discussed the theoretical conceptual problem on semiconductor devices. So some of the topics and questions from some of the topics that is left here. Like in the case of a special purpose diode, we have studied some of the concept of photodiode, Zener diode, rectifiers. So here today we have to discuss the rest of the problems related to solar cell and LEDs. So basically, with the discussion of every topic, I just told you what types of conceptual problem is asked in your examination already. So now, overall, all the questions from the board examination papers we have discussed here. So rest of the topics we will discuss again, and there are some circuit-based problem from forward and reverse biasing. So we will see that also in our today's class. So let's start it. So basically, as we have discussed solar cell and its concept yesterday, so which types of material we are using in solar cells, why we are using so again, to remind you simple, solar cells in which we are just converting solar supply or sun energy into electrical energy. So to convert into an electrical energy, we need such types of biasing in which current can flow easily. So you know that already whenever we will connect the circuit in forward bias, then that time current can flow easily in the circuitry. So that's why solar cell, in case of solar cells, we always bias our circuit. In the case of forward biasing, we just bias it. So secondary thing, which kinds of material are useful in solar cells. So I just told you two regions are here. First, the band gap energy should be less, so that if energy is falling on that, then that energy can overcome, or that energy has the energy greater than the work function of the metal, or forbidden gap energy of the metal particular. So basically, the light that is incident from the sun, that have energy nearly 5.5 electron volt, 5.1 to 5.5 electron volt. So in that way, means that metals are suitable for us for that energy band gap, or forbidden band gap has the energy less than or equal to that range. So whenever that material we have, then that will be suitable for making the solar cells. Secondary concept here, as we have different seasons, and in every season we are not getting same intensity. So as in rainy season, in winter seasons, we got very less amount of intensity of radiation. So in that case, we need such types of material which can absorb most of the light that is incident on it. Otherwise, in rainy season, in winter seasons, we cannot convert solar energy into electrical energy. So that device will not be useful for us, for that we cannot use for long months. So that's why, to overcome that problem, we try to search some types of materials whose absorption coefficient is very greater. So for this, some of the materials are very suitable, like silicon is suitable for making solar cell. This has absorption coefficient greater, and also energy band gap, you know that is very less than even energy of the light here. So definitely so silicon is best for making solar cells. Next, we have gallium arsenide, gallium phosphide. These devices are also very good to fabricate solar cells. So as they have the energy band gap energy that is nearly equal to the energy of light, but still their absorption coefficient is very large. So that's why we use that materials to make solar cell. So I think one conceptual problem that is asked, why we prefer gallium arsenide and silicon over germanium to make solar cell. This was the conceptual question, and I think now that is clear why we are doing so, why we are using that types of material here. So let's discuss its working and its construction. So construction is very simple here. Two types of circuitry I just told you. One is circuit, one is you can even take the construction and circuit in both of the figure. So for that, we have any metallic sheet above it, and P and N type materials are here that we have just taken. So here N type material and P type material we have. and we just connected this metal plate by using this any electrical circuit, so that we can obtain the current that is produced due to recombination of electron holes pair that was generated due to light energy here. So for this case we just connect it in forward bias, means we have to connect P with the positive terminal of battery and N is the negative terminal of the battery. So this circuit is now connected in forward bias, and again as you know that already in N type electrons are in majority carriers and holes are in minority carriers, and again when light incident on these types of material, then or due to incidence of light, obviously electron hole pairs will be generated, more and more charge carriers will be generated, more current will flow through this circuit, and we will get corresponding voltage here or corresponding current in the circuit with the help of that current that is flowing here. Clear? So this is the particular thing that we are using for the production of electric current. So again here we are using the law of photoelectric emission, means we are just trying to get a number of get the ejection of electrons from any metallic surface with the help of suitable frequency of radiation. So this is just like the same as we have discussed in the case of photodiode, but still the difference was in our purpose. Solar cells we are using to convert solar energy into electrical energy, but photodiodes we are using that only to measure the intensities of radiation or temperature of stars. So for that case the reverse biasing was suitable for us, but here in this case forward biasing is more suitable for us. So you need to know why we are using a particular biasing in every condition. So here we are using these all diodes for our special purpose, so that purpose gives us permission to use such types of biasing here. So I think the construction and working of solar cell, that is now clear. How we can we get here charge carriers, and how can we get current through this whole of the circuitry. Clear? Next the circuit, first of all solar cell where you can use, you know already, wherever you can use electrical energy, there you can use solar cells. So next topic that we have to study, that is the concept of LED, light emitting diodes. So this is the last topic that we have to discuss now. So question is asked, some of the conceptual question is also asked in case of LEDs. So first of all the question is basically asked, name the device which we are using as to lighten the display in our mobiles and or laptops, keyboards, and also make its or show its construction, write down its working, and write down its uses. So basically these types of questions are asked from LEDs. So to lighten the keyboards of mobiles, like you are using keypad mobiles, and also we are using keyboards in laptops, calculators we are using, in all that case to lighten it we are using LEDs there. And even in this time in 7 segment displays we are using LEDs also. So at number of places LEDs are using LED lights this time, very popular between us. We are using LED lights at our homes also. So it means LEDs are very important for us this time, and also colored a lot of colors of LEDs we are available we have. So how can we get that colors, and what is the what types of materials are now suitable for us here to make LEDs? So that is also very important kind. So here we will discuss all the questions and conceptual things here also. So first answer of first question is that in mobiles or in laptops to enlighten the keyboards we are using LEDs, light emitting diodes. Now what is the light emitting diode and in which bias we are just bias it? So light emitting diode is that kind of diode through which we can obtain the electromagnetic radiation. So here again, like in solar cell, we were converting solar energy into electrical energy. In the case of LEDs, we are converting light energy into solar energy, or you can say that we are converting electrical energies into light energy here. So just reverse process we are doing. And again, you know that to get more intense light, or to increase the intensity of light, we have to increase number of photons in light, and number of photons are dependent on the number of electrons or number of charge carriers present in the system. So greater will be the charge carrier present, greater will be the conduction, greater will be the emission of light from there. So it means that here we have to use that kind of biasing which can provide us a large number of charge carriers. So you know that forward biasing is suitable to provide the large number of charge carriers. So again, LEDs we are connecting, we are biasing it in forward biasing. So simple, I think first thing is now clear why we are biasing LEDs in forward bias. Second thing, we can understand the concept of LEDs by using band picture, or by using some spectroscopic conditions, like if they are in valence band. Suppose we have a large number of charge carriers here that are present, and if this is the conduction band we have. Now we just apply the electrical energies to the circuit, means we are just increasing the forward potential. So with increase in potential, there will be electrical energy supplied to these electrons. So whenever these electrons will get sufficient energy, that time they will go to this conduction band, or you can say that in spectroscopic term you want to say it, then they are excited to the excited states. So conduction band is a band, energy band of excited states also. I just told you in starting it. So whenever they will go to excited state, then again you know that after some time they will make transition again to this valence band to get the stability in the system. So while getting the stability, they obviously they will come back to this original or valence band. So in that way they will radiate energy, and that will depend on through which excited state they are decaying, or they are making transition to the valence band. So according to that energy we are getting different wavelength, different frequency, and the wavelength and frequency that are lying in particular range, according to that we are getting different colors. So as we have 7 colors already in white light, so whenever light frequency or wavelength fall in particular color, then that particular light we are getting from the LEDs, like we are getting red light, yellow light, green light, blue light. So in that way we are getting different lights from the LEDs. Clear? So I think first the process of LEDs are now clear, how we are getting here energies with the help of LEDs. Now let's see its circuit diagram. So again its circuit diagram is also very simple. This is our p-type material, this is n-type. So in n-type material here number of electrons we have. In p-type, in majority we have holes, and suppose here some of the plates we have just used. And now we just biased this n and p type, we will buy some metallic bases. So this biasing we have to do in forward biasing. So to bias it in forward, n type is connected to negative and p type is connected to positive here. So this is the connection for this. And also in the case of LEDs, one thing we are using that that is a resistance we are using here. So this is the resistance that we are using. And also in the case of solar cells, you can use the resistors there to get the or to obtain the output through that. So I think now this is clear. Here we have to bias again the circuit in forward bias, and also these types of construction for the LEDs we have. Now when we start to increase this potential, Then with increase in potential, this is a junction between p and n type material. So electron will get a greater energy. So while getting or energies, they are, in case of forward biasing, they are start to moving to the junction. So whenever they are moving towards the junction, then they will cross the junction and they will occupy this position of holes here. So whenever they will occupy this position, it means here electrons are excited and they are going in excited states. So in that case, obviously due to recombination of electron hole pair here, some of the energies will be liberated here. Or I just told you it also with the band picture. I think that picture is more clear to you. So in that way, here energies we are getting whenever electrons are making transition from higher to lower state. So in that case, obviously whenever electrons are making transition from higher to lower, there will be a electromagnetic energy that will be radiated, and that you can understand by Bohr's third postulate. Means what is the frequency of radiation, or what is the wavelength of radiation that is emitted, how can you calculate it? So we can calculate it easily by taking the difference between any two levels, energy difference between any two levels. So that difference will be equal to h nu. So with the help of the calculation of frequency, you can calculate wavelength. You can understand in which range it is lying and which color of light we will get after using that particular material here. So in which way here the emission of light that is taking place through this whole of the system. So this is the construction of LEDs and working of LEDs here. Now which types of material you can use to make LEDs? So some of the materials always every material will not provide you electromagnetic radiation. Sometimes the recombination of electron holes or simple whenever electron is making transition from higher to lower, then that time sometimes energy is liberated in form of heat energy or thermal energy. So obviously here we have to convert electrical signal into heat energy, into light energy. Then heat energy if we are getting, that is not suitable for our purpose. So that kind of material we don't use to make LEDs. Like in case of germanium, germanium we are getting heat energy or thermal energy, so we don't use that to make the LEDs here. Basically the material that are suitable to make LEDs, that are also gallium arsenide, gallium phosphide, gallium arsenide phosphide. They are providing red, yellow, green color light to us, and also silicon you can use. So in this way, number of materials we are using to make LEDs to get different colors here. So that is also a tough thing to make the LEDs. The construction of LEDs is easy, thinking is easy, but still the material that we have to choose to get a particular color, that is not easy. That is taking quite large time for that case. Clear? So I think the construction and this thing is clear. So with this topic, whole of the conceptual question, whole of the question that is asked from semiconductor devices we have discussed here. So I think friends, now there is no problem. So from this chapter again I am telling you, just put your focus on conceptual question and theoretical question, derivative construction based problem, circuit problem, the characteristic problem, so that you will be able to solve all the problems here. No numerical problems is basically not asked from this chapter, but still some of the circuit based problems are asked. So let's discuss that circuit based problem. After that we will end this chapter here today. So here number of numerical problems we have. First there are a set of values for voltage and current in case of forward and reverse biasing is given. So let's see that first. So here for forward biasing, V and I, the two values for this is given. At 2 volt we are getting current 60 milliampere, and also at 2.4 volt we are getting current that is 80 milliampere. And also in reverse biasing, the chart is given, that is at 0 volt we are getting 0 microampere, chart for forward and reverse biasing for two different voltage, and at that voltage is the current that we are getting, it is given. So here the question is given, assuming the characteristics to be nearly linear over this range, then calculate the forward and reverse bias resistance of the given diode. So here we have to calculate what will be the value of forward and reverse bias resistance. So easily, if in this characteristic the characteristic is totally linear, then you know that for the linear case we can use Ohm's law to calculate the resistance. So according to that we can calculate delta V, delta I, the ratio of delta V and delta I, that will be equal to the resistance there. So in case of forward biasing, the resistance that will be given by delta V by delta I here. So RF is the forward resistance, then we can calculate it. The value of delta V will be 2.4 minus 2 here. So 2.4 minus 2, if you will solve it, this will be equal to 0.4 volt. And here value of I, this will be 80 minus 60 milliampere. So this will be equal to 20 milliampere. And again, if we will solve it, then this will be equal to 0.4 into 10 to the power 2 upon 2 ohm here. Or if you will again solve it, this will be 40 and overall this will be 20 ohm after solution. Clear? So this is the forward resistance. Again we can calculate reverse resistance in the same manner. So to calculate the reverse resistance, again the formula is same we have. As the graph is linear for forward and reverse both process, then for linear graph we can easily calculate the slope by using two values, and obviously we can calculate what will be the value of resistance here. So the reverse resistance that will be given by delta V by delta I, and value of delta V will be here minus 2 to 0. So it means that it will be equal to minus 2 volt, and delta I, this will be minus 0.25 to 0. So it means it will be minus 0.25 microampere. So you can solve it. This will be equal to 2 into 10 to the power 4 upon, I just taken directly. This is sorry guys, this will be 10 to the power 8. 10 power 6 from here, 10 power 2 from here. I just taken, this will be totally 20 power 8 here. And again, if we will solve it, then this will be equal to 8 into 10 to the power 6 ohm here by solution. So this is the reverse resistance that we can get here. So questions are asked from this data basis problem. Sometimes data is given and it is asked to plot the forward and reverse characteristic, and also to calculate at a particular value what will be the forward resistance and reverse resistance. So let's take one problem of that kind. So here one characteristic is given for the forward and reverse. So this is the characteristic that is given to us, and also for reverse it is given, and some of the values are given here. Here 1, here 2, this is given, and for 1 and 2 the value is here 20, 10 and 20, this is 1 and 2, and also at some point it is given, sorry it is not 2 here exactly, and some of the things here 2 is given, here 3 is given, here also something is given to us. So on this we have just taken forward current in milliampere. Yes, it is given the forward potential in volts, and at these 2 points the values are given. This is 60 and 80. So this is given in our question. And the second thing, in this it is given this value is here, this is minus 3, minus 2, minus 1 and 0, and also on this it is given to us 1.5, 1.0, 0.5, and this is 0 and so on. Clear? And this is in microampere it is given, it is also in volt that is given. So this is basically our graph is given. Now question is that the VI characteristic of a silicon diode is given in figure. So calculate the diode resistance in first forward bias at V is equal to 2 volt and V is equal to 1 volt, and reverse bias at V is equal to minus 1 volt and minus 2 volt. So this is our question. So first to calculate the forward bias resistance, we know that we can calculate the resistance by calculating its slope here, means in which region resistance is linear we can take its slope and we can calculate it. So as suppose RF is forward bias resistance, so this will be given by delta V by delta I here. Now how can we calculate? Here it is given we have to calculate this resistance at 2 volt. So this will be equal to RFB is equal to if we will see V is equal to 2 volt, then that is lying something here. So we can calculate just by using the values in the graph here. So by using the values in the graph, this is 80 and 60. So these 2 points, if we will take, then 2 is at the center, we can calculate what will be the values here at this point. So in this way, its values, this is equal to 2.2 volt and this is 1.8 volt. So we can take this difference, this will be 2.2, this will be minus 1.8 to get the resistance at that point, upon we will get, as in this range resistance is graph is linear, then obviously resistance will be same in that case. So obviously by you calculating simply the here by using this area, calculating simply its slope, we can calculate what will be the value of resistance even at V is equal to 2 volt easily. So here at this point 2.2 current is 80 and this point 1.8 current is 60, that is given. So delta I, this will be equal to 80 minus 60. Now we can solve it. So after solution, this value will be 0.4 and this will be equal to 20, and as this is in milliampere, so this will be equal to 10 power minus 3, and we can solve it. So after solution, this will be 400 by 20. So obviously this will be equal to 20 ohm. I think it's okay now. So next that values we have to calculate at V is equal to 1 volt. So as V is equal to 1 volt is here, and in this region the graph is now again linear. So it means that within this region this value of resistance will be constant. So we can just calculate it by calculating its slope here. So this value is equal to 1.2 volt, and this is equal to 0.8 again. So let's take the difference here also. So this was at 2 volt, and this RFB at 1 volt. We can calculate by delta V. Delta V is 1.2 minus 0.8. So again it will be equal to 0.4 volt upon this I, value of I at 1.2 is 20, at 0.8 is 10. So this will be equal to again 10 into 10 power minus 3, and this will be minus 2, and if you will take this outside, so this will be 40 ohm. So this is the answers of the question. In the case of forward biasing, how can we calculate it? Now we have to calculate the resistance in the case of reverse bias also at minus 2 volt and also at minus 1 volt. So at minus 2 volt, if we have to calculate it, then easily we can calculate by using this graph. And in this graph, simple the reverse bias resistance is given by voltage upon current here. So at minus 2 volt voltage is here, and at this volt the current is nearly equal to, if at graph you are seeing, then it is obtained at minus 2 volt, it is just here. So this is minus 0.25 ampere microampere current. So it means that the reverse resistance, suppose this is RRB, so at minus 2 volt we are just taking, so at this minus 2 volt the current will be, or slope will be equal to this. If you will take slope here, so that slope is, this is the linear slope here, so this is minus 2 and divided by this 0.25 microampere, so this is 10 power minus 6. So after solving it, we can calculate what will be the value of resistance here. So this is obtained 8 into 10 power 6. So clear? Again we have to calculate the resistance at minus 1 volt. So again at minus 1 volt, the slope is here linear, slope is same. So obviously values will also be same as we have calculated at minus 2. So again the resistance RRB at minus 1, this is also equal to 8 into 10 to the power 6 ohm. So as in this way you can calculate what will be the value of resistances by this chart in the case of forward and reverse biasing. So if now all the things are clear, then let's end the class here today, students. I think today is your RT, so let's end the chapter also with these problems. Rest of the thing that we will discuss in next classes, our revisions we will do in next classes. So thank you, students.